Yes, here we are for the second half of the National Football League season, guys. Believe it or not, it's Week 10 this upcoming weekend here in the National Football League here on Football Friday, presented by Wolf Spreads. So I've got Nick, Paul, Hank, Zan, and Nick along for the ride as well. So you guys, are you all ready to do this thing?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
You're damn right, I'm ready.
Yes, hold the excitement, Hank. But first, we got to talk about our sponsor, Wolf Spreads. Are you looking to get involved in the action while rooting for your favorite team? Well, not the Jets, but that's a whole different issue. Have you ever had a friendly debate on who can pick for more games correctly? Does all this talk about parlays, lines, and overs and unders make your head spin and you want to learn about this sports betting hoopla? Gamble with us and come check out Wolf Spreads. We're running a sports betting competition completely free on the Wolf Spreads app. Here's how it works. Everybody gets $2,000 fantasy dollars. That's fake money to bet on NFL games, with whoever can profit the most with their 2K bankroll wins. And if you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. Wolf Spreads has competitions available for the NBA, MLB, NHL, and college football and basketball. Put fantasy dollars on the over-under, the money line, or the spreads, competing for bragging rights with your fellow players while having additional fun watching sports and not risking losing your house in the process. Wolf Spreads, sports betting for friends who love the action. All right, Johnny, let's go.
All right, let's do this thing. And Zan, I think you won the first 2 weeks, right, in our Wolf Spreads competition,
even though Wolf Spreads won't officially count, last week I did win our second rendition of the Wolf Spreads competition. So yeah, I'm up 2 weeks on all of you guys now, and I'm hoping to make it 3 weeks in a row. It seems like I'm a wizard when it comes to those picks. So I hope it continues.
Absolutely. Good luck to you and everybody else. And real quick, Nick D in the lead with 173 points as we get started here in Week 10. But it's getting very, very close. I've got 171. Kudos to Tom Albano, our birthday boy, by the way. Happy birthday, Tom. He's got 170 after having a 24-point week last week. And then rounding out the field, we've got Ben with 167. Zan has 164. Hank 163. Paul 159 and Nick 153. So let's do this thing here for Week 10 in the National Football League. And let's start with our leader, Nick D. Nick, a Rich Eisen, Jason McCourty, Sarah Walsh, and Stacey Dale special on the NFL Network one more time from Frankfurt. It's the Indianapolis Colts and New England Patriots, and the Colts a 2-point favorite here.
I like the Colts. I think the Patriots this year really are just not good. It is, -2. It's gone up a little bit. I mean, even if the Colts play bad, they should be able to cover this. I mean, I think the Colts have gotten much better lately. The Patriots aren't any good. I think this is pretty easy.
There you go. Let's go to Zan.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are kind of awful in their own respects, but this Patriots team is almost unwatchable at this point. I had the faith that they were going to beat the Commanders. You just couldn't do it, and the Colts defense just ran rampant on a Panthers offense that couldn't seem to do anything last week at home. So I love the Colts in this spot, no matter if it's in Frankfurt, Indianapolis, Foxborough. I don't care. Colts to win outright and Colts -2. That's my pick for game number 1.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, this is a crapshoot. There's really not much to say. Patriots haven't played good football. I don't like the Colts either. This is just... I don't know why they sent this game to Frankfurt. It was kind of confusing, but I'll just take the Colts to cover.
Actually. They send the bad games to Europe usually.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about it. That's like when they send Jacksonville to London every single year.
But Jacksonville's good now, so
well, it originally started with the crappy Jaguars being sent to London.
Jaguars, yeah.
But take them up.
Yeah, we just came off though probably the best game in the 49-game history with Paul's Chiefs there against the Dolphins. Speaking of Paul, what do you have here?
Yeah, I'm going with the Colts at -2 also. I mean, the Patriots just haven't been able to do anything. So this is a pretty easy game in my opinion. I don't think that it's going to be one that's going to be must-watch TV, but I think the Colts will pull it out.
Hank, do you have a German accent for us here?
Guten Morgen.
That works.
That was good.
Excellent.
No, not really. I don't think I can do a German accent nearly as well as a British accent. Even then, I know it's probably not my best either because let's just say it sounds as fake as Dick Van Dyke's accent in Mary Poppins. But
Having said that, you know, I would go with a card flip for this one, but if I'm being honest, do I really trust the Pats? I mean, yeah, I picked them against the Commanders, but that's low hanging fruit. Come on. Yeah, give me Indianapolis here for this one. I don't know if I can even trust the Patriots. And imagine telling me I would be saying this on a pick stream like maybe 5-6 years ago, but hey, that's what it is.
Sure. It feels unpredictable, this game, and the fact that this is in Frankfurt, I think, only adds to the madness. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the team that's got the better offense versus the worst defense. If that's, I could say that. I'm going to take the Colts here, laying the 2. You know, Indy's got the 7th ranked offense, the best scoring offense, while the Pats defense ranks in the bottom third of the league in most categories. So I'm going to take the Euros in this game. And Sparrin, it's my lock of the week. Right out of the gate here, we're going to take the Colts and lock it up against the Patriots. I struggled with a lot of games this week trying to find a lock, and I think because the Colts have the better offense and the Pats' defense is a mess, this one makes the most sense to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Colts, lock it up, and the Euros. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say Avita Zang and say so long to the international games here. We'll get everybody's picks, by the way, on ETB Network on Facebook and Twitter. Game On ETB also on Facebook and Twitter as well. I know just looking at him that Tom also is making this his lock of the week, by the way, and he is taking the Colts minus the 2. So we're going to have at least 2 bench locks, and it looks like a clean sweep here in Game 1 in Frankfurt. Back in the States, guys, Nick, it's a Nick Morgasen, a Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake special on Fox. A huge game in the AFC North as your 2 favorite quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens a 6.5-point favorite.
Johnny, I sense your sarcasm in that statement. Yeah, it actually is a good game. I can't lie. It's actually a good game. It's a top defense of the Browns. The Ravens have finally come around offensively after struggling the first couple of weeks. The Ravens offense has just been on fire, and I think that's going to lead them. But don't sleep on the Browns. Their defense has been great and getting turnovers and all that. And Hank's probably not going to like this either, but Lamar's been playing good football. Like, we can't deny that Lamar's been playing good football. You're not wrong. As long as they can keep their offense together, I think a touchdown is definitely worthy in this game. So I'm going to take the money on this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was close all the way to the end.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to flop with you. I'm going to go with Browns at plus 6.5. I still think that the Ravens are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than a full touchdown. Lamar Jackson's been fantastic this season. The Ravens have been locked in as of late. I mean, them and the Chiefs, only 2 7-2 teams now in the AFC. So I think that the Ravens will end up pulling this one out. But whenever it's a divisional game, you always have to err on the side of precaution, I think. And the Browns have been pretty decent, too. I mean, Deshaun Watson, I don't think has played tremendous, but their defense has been good. I think that they're going to be able to keep it close. It's in Baltimore, though, so I definitely think the Ravens are going to end up winning it. But I'm going to take the Browns at plus 6.5.
Hank, what do you have here?
You know what? I can't disagree with Nick. Lamar Jackson has definitely been playing some good football. However, with that being said, this isn't me shitting on Lamar Jackson by any means. What I am going to do, though, is take the Browns to cover. However, I still think the Ravens will win this game, if only because I think the Browns defense they will probably play better than expected. So, give me Baltimore, but do not press that cha-ching button.
Wow. Okay.
So, to me, the best team all around in the first half of the year was the Baltimore Ravens. You know, Lamar, they're really a complete juggernaut, and both teams are solid defensively, but offensively, Lamar Jackson's an MVP candidate. While there's still questions about how effective Deshaun Watson can be, I mean, he'll be better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson was in round 1 of this matchup, but not enough to even cover here. The Ravens are first in points per game since week 6, and they'll win this game by at least a touchdown. So I am going to take the money with Baltimore in this one, Nick D.
You know what? I'm going to have to go with the Browns. First of all, I will have to say, and it's not an anti-Ravens. This is not in any way an anti-Ravens pick as much as it is a pro-Browns, pro-Deshaun Watson pick. Not that I root for them or anything, but what you have to remember is how good the Browns have been with Deshaun Watson this year. So they only lost one. Deshaun Watson only lost one game, and it was on the road to at Pittsburgh. Other than that, they beat the Browns at home. They beat the Bengals. They killed the Titans. They beat the Colts, and they beat the Cardinals, which is not all of those are impressive. But I think the Browns with Deshaun Watson can at least be competitive with the Ravens. I don't see the Ravens. I think the Ravens would probably win, but it's probably going to be a one-score game, and I'm not sure the Ravens are that much better than the Browns as long as Deshaun Watson is playing. Like that. That to me is just not clear. It's 7-2 versus 5-3, and like half the year, I think, or almost half the season, Deshaun Watson was injured. So we don't know what they would look like had he not gotten injured. And not to mention, it might be, that is just a wild card that you really have to look at. And I feel like if I were to just take the Ravens to win by a touchdown or more, I'm just not taking that into account properly. So I would have to go with the points.
What about you, Zan?
Well, I think this is the game of the week, and I don't think it's being given the national coverage that it deserves. I think the entire country deserves to watch this game because these are two AFC North heavyweights that have a lot on the line. This is a huge swing game for the AFC North tiebreaker. And truly, I just think the Ravens have been a wagon at home. Yes, the Browns have played good football as of late. They have Deshaun Watson back now. It seems that their offense is clicking. But to me, there's just something about Lamar Jackson in the AFC North in November. It seems like every year around this time, Lamar Jackson seems to play well at the right time. And it seems that the Ravens are slowly but surely starting to do that. Their last loss was in early October. I think the Ravens keep it going. I think they cover by at least a touchdown, of course, and I think the Ravens win this key divisional matchup. But do not be surprised if the Browns have a late second quarter lead and the Ravens have to rally. So give me the Ravens to win and give me the Ravens to cover -6.5.
So there you go. Well, we're all in agreement that Baltimore's going to win, but half of our guys here will at least grab the points with the Browns in Baltimore. Paul, it's a Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins special on CBS as CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals a 6.5-point home favorite.
It's really a testament to the kind of game that CJ Stroud had last week, this line, because I think that if this game was played last week, it would have been even bigger lopsided on the Bengals part at the Bengals front. I mean, the Bengals started off this season, they weren't that great, but they've been starting to get things rolling. This game's in Cincinnati. But the Texans have played well. I'm going to go with the Bengals at -6.5, though. I'm going to ride with that. I think that the Texans are up and coming. I think that Stroud once again will have a good game. I love what I've seen from him, but the Bengals are starting to get some momentum, and I know that they got some guys that are hurt. I think T. Higgins might be out for the game, but I think that they're still going to roll, and they're probably going to win by a touchdown.
Hank?
You know what? I'm just going to say I have a few words for you guys. Don't disrespect the Bengals. Then again, to be fair, I don't want to come across as disrespecting CJ Stroud. I think the Texans very well may have found their quarterback of the future, but what did I tell you? The Bengals it was only a matter of time before the Bengals got hot. Give me Cincy.
Well, see, now it's my turn to be the opposite in this regard too. I'm taking Houston +6.5. I think Cincy wins, but this is too many points to me, guys, and possibly too many injuries for the Bengals. You know, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like Chase is gonna be there with his back. T. Higgins did not practice on Thursday, so it does not look favorable that he's going to be there, which means now you're going to double team Chase. So that it almost takes two receivers out of Joe Burrow's weaponry there, and it feels like Cincy's also due for kind of a cool off game And the Texans don't wilt easily. 3 of their 4 victories this year have come against teams that currently boast winning records. And as much as we talk about the Burrow to Chase and or Higgins connections a lot, we should also be talking about the Stroud to Tank Dell connections. I mean, what a steal that's looking like right now. Tank Dell there for Houston. I know Cincinnati don't get me wrong. They're an established contender in a legit groove. I think it's tough to pick against a team like them, and I'm not. I'm going to take Cincy to win, but I think this is too many points, and I'm going to take the Texans here to at least keep it inside of this number in Cincinnati, Nick D.
I'm going the opposite. I love the Bengals this game. You can't forget how good the Bengals. And now I was not high on the Bengals the entire time, but like the entire season. But look, we can't forget how good the Bengals have been in the past couple of weeks. I mean, they just beat the Bills and they beat the Niners on the road. And they beat the Seahawks, which is not that impressive. But I mean, they haven't lost at home since the Ravens game when Joe Burrow was hurt. And Joe Burrow right now looks healthy. And the Texans, they haven't been good on the road lately. I mean, they do have one good win on the road against the Jaguars, but the other 2 losses, I mean, the other losses were they lost to Texans and then the Panthers on the road. I'm not sold at all on the Texans as a road team. So I think the Bengals should be able to win this by 1 score or more.
Go ahead, Zan.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of the critical AFC wildcard type of games. I mean, obviously, Houston has work to do. This would be a big step up if they were able to win this game. But I'm with you, Johnny, when it comes to the injuries. I think the Texans covered in this game. I think the Texans played really well last week. They obviously overcame a pretty nice deficit to come back and beat Tampa Bay, even though they couldn't cover the spread, which was good for almost all of us, except for Tom last week, of course. But I like Houston in this spot. I think CJ Stroud plays well, but he comes up just a little bit short. So give me the Texans to cover the 6.5, but the Bengals in the game by 3. This will be a good game, an offensive slugfest, and definitely a learning experience for CJ Stroud, because when he gets another year under his belt and they rematch these guys in 2024, 2025, or 26 in Houston, he'll be ready, just not this year. So
you're going to take Texans plus 6.5 since he wins, though. And I was looking at when I was going over the results last week. I was looking at that Texan Buck game, and I was like, oh, that's right, we did cover. So that was a win, at least for us. Nick Morgasen, what do you have here?
So we're also leading out that Nico Collins and Dameon Pierce did not practice. So that's a whole nother situation you have to add to the Texans side of things. You have injuries on both sides to major guys on their roster. I mean, Jamar being hurt. Now, you were saying, Johnny, that you think he's going to be back, but he's still going to be limited. He's not going to be able to do everything that Jamar does out on the field. It's not, yeah. And they're going to double team him with T. Higgins being limited and probably being out. So you have a little bit of back and forth here. I don't know. You could lean either way in this game, but I'm going to shock you. I'm taking the Bengals to cover this game because I just think the Nico Collins and Dameon Pierce injuries are too much for the Texans to overcome. And even if they just have a limited Jamar, they still have their running game. They're a much better team with Nico Collins and and company being out. So take them up.
Hey, you did throw me for a curveball there. I think that might be. I have to double check. That might be the first time all season that Nick has taken Cincinnati in a game this year. But we'll find out what happens there. It should be an exciting one nonetheless. Another exciting one here, Hank, is a Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Pam Oliver special on Fox. Both teams coming off their bye week in this one. It is Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers taking on Trevor Lawrence and your Jacksonville Jaguars. And your Jaguars are getting a field goal at Everbank Stadium.
And you know what? I have to say, I mean, you know what the 49ers are? Well, granted, I don't think we're ever going to see a sound booth due to copywriting, but I'm going to provide a sound booth myself. They are free falling. I mean, look, after being undefeated, they've now lost 3 in a row, another close one to the Bengals. And you know what? The Jaguars, while they haven't necessarily been great, they're certainly good, and they keep on winning. Got to go with the hot hand and Trevor Lawrence. Give me Jacksonville.
What?
So this is the best game of Week 10,
Mhm.
but to me,
Yep.
this is also the toughest game of the week to pick here in Week 10 because the Jaguars have not lost since September. The 49ers have not won a game since October 8th. Neither Kyle Shanahan nor Doug Peterson have great track records after the byes. But I think the possibility of Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel being back there on Sunday, along with Brock Purdy, who should be back at 100%, could present a lot of problems for a Jaguars defense that hasn't been able to stop the pass this year. In fact, their passing defense is 30th in the NFL. And also, let's remember the 49ers did add Chase Young at the trade deadline. We'll see him for the first time. And their pass rush has been struggling some this year, but it should definitely get a boost. But I think the bye helped the Niners and actually hurt the Jaguars, at least this time. I'm going to take the Niners to win and cover here. It's something like a 4-point game. I think it's going to be very entertaining, but I'm going to roll with the Niners here in Jacksonville, Nick D.
I totally agree. The Niners, I think, are due for a win with Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams being back. Not to mention, I mean, the Jaguars are a decent team, but their defense stinks, like you said, especially their passing defense. And that's just, I think that's going to be too much for the Niners, for the Jaguars to handle. I mean, the Jaguars have beaten some okay teams, but I mean, with this problem, I mean, okay, they beat the Steelers, the Saints, the Colts in recent games, and then they beat the Bills before that. But it's not like they were beating like these amazing teams. Like it's not like they were dominant. It's not really like they really proved themselves. I mean, the Niners are still a step up. So with all these injuries, with all the players being back for the Niners, I'll have to go with the Niners. It's also not in London.
Yeah, back in their American home. Zan, what do we have?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really say, I did some digging on this game a couple days ago. The Jaguars have not beaten the 49ers in 2 decades. I don't think it starts on Sunday either. I mean, the 49ers to cover the field goal and maybe win by about 10. Jacksonville's a good team, but San Francisco is licking their chops after a couple of bad losses in a row, and they need to get right at the right time, and this is the week that they're going to do that. Trust me, Jacksonville's going to have way more opportunities. They're still more than likely going to win the AFC South. There's just a bump in the road. Give me the 49ers.
Nick?
Yeah, I think this is a get well game for the 49ers. I think this is probably as close to 100% that you're going to see the Niners for the first time in quite a few weeks. With Deebo back in the mix, McCaffrey, all the pieces in the mix, the team can run the offense the way that it was meant to be run when they started 5-0. And like you were saying, I was actually going to pull that stat out that they were 30th in the league in defense also, which is the Jaguars do not have a good defense at all. They're not going to be able to stop McCaffrey and Deebo and all the other guys, Ayuk. They're not going to be able to stop all these guys. It's too many guys. So I think this is an obvious. I'm taking the cover, and this is my lock this week at -3 with the Niners.
Okay.
Oh boy.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm taking this as my lock too, and I'm going 49ers at -3. I just like that the Niners are fully healthy. When they're fully back and they're fully healthy, they're a dynamic team. I think it's almost like a perfect situation. The Niners are due for a big game. The Jaguars are due for a loss, and the Niners as well are at only -3. I feel like that it's just a definite. And I just don't see the Niners going 5-4 too. That just doesn't ring a bell in my head. I just don't. They're just too good of a team to end up going 5-4. So I'm taking this. I'm pretty confident in it as well. I think the Niners are going to take this on the road by a decent margin.
2 locks in Jacksonville. That means Hank's going to be the lone wolf there at Everbank Stadium.
Hey, I'll take it. It's strategic.
I like it. And, the lone wolves, I hadn't get a chance to go back and research the numbers, but lone wolves have actually done it right here in recent weeks, I think. I'll double check that, and one day I'll get that to everybody here. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, Christina Pink special on the NFL and Fox. Zan, it is Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints taking on Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings, and the Saints a field goal road favorite.
Yeah, I mean, is it too early to say that the loser of this game is out of the NFC wildcard picture? Because that's what I'm starting to think. I think both of these teams are playing really well. I think the Saints got a little bit lucky against the Bears, but ever since the Vikings beat San Francisco, they looked like a different team. And playing in the Dome in Minnesota, especially late in the year, that causes some problems. I love the Vikings +3, and I love the Vikings to win outright. This to me just seems like a team that's finally figured it out, even though they have so many issues. And I'm getting Justin Jefferson cleared to practice again. That's only a telltale sign that things are looking up in Minnesota. So give me the Vikings.
I mean, I'm for the most part in agreement with Zan. Just because the window is open, though, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play. It's a good sign, like you said, for sure. But I think they said it's going to be at least 2 weeks before he officially returns to the
I
field.
know. I just mean in general, as they prepare for the stretch run in what should be a pretty important November,
Yes.
they need him. But that's
Absolutely.
critical. Yeah.
But I like Josh Dobbs. I can't believe I'm saying that, but like I happen to like him in Minnesota. I think it's a good fit. Arizona, like he was like doing his best to be the little engine that could in Arizona to really get that team to be competitive. Now he's on a team that actually has some competitive spirit. And if Justin Jefferson comes back, it's like picking up somebody at the trade deadline and getting a top 3 wide receiver in all of the NFL. I don't know what the Saints are really at this point. They win, they lose, they win, they lose. It's like a true wild card if you really think about it. I'm taking the Vikings +3.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings at +3 also. I completely agree. I don't know exactly what the Saints are. Like, I haven't trusted them all year. I don't think they're that good of a team. And the Vikings are starting to click a little bit. I mean, you got Josh Dobbs now. No Cousins, no Jefferson, no problem for that team. Dobbs has been able to step in and had a great week without even knowing the system last week. And now he'll get a full week of practice with the team. I like this. It's in Minnesota too. It's going to be an interesting game. But I like the Vikings to end up winning this as well as being +3.
Hank?
Yeah, this is a really tough call for me, but ultimately it comes down for me to this. As much as I don't really trust the Vikings. Oh wait, never mind. I can't even use the Kirk Cousins clipboard. That doesn't apply anymore. Let's go with the Rocket, the scientist, and Dobby the house elf. Yeah, give me Minnesota. You guys know I'm not bullish on the Saints.
I'm bullish on them in this game. I'm taking the Saints laying the 3 points. I think we're kind of overreacting to Minnesota last week. It was a great story with Josh Dobbs there last week, but now he's got to do this without Cam Akers, who tore his Achilles, Justin Jefferson, potentially without KJ Osborne too. They put up 30 points last week, but trying to do that for a second straight week against the Saints defense ranked 7th overall is very difficult, especially considering last week was the first time that Minnesota reached that mark all season. And the Saints, guys, to be fair, they are a better scoring team on the road here in 2023. They're averaging 6 more points per game on the road than at the Superdome. I'm going to take New Orleans here to win and cover this one. And for both teams, though, their schedule is actually quite favorable going forward here. So I think they're both still going to be in the hunt for, at the bare minimum, wild card. In the Saints' case, I think they can actually take off and win the division here if you look at their schedule after this game. But I'm going to lay the 3 with the Saints here on the road in Minnesota, Nick D.
I totally agree. I think that both of these teams are very much wild cards, especially the Vikings with Josh Dobbs because he's played 1 game. And as much of a feel-good game as that was, and I really think they're due for a letdown. I think that the reasons that you guys are saying that the Vikings are going to win or cover is the exact same reason that I think they're not going to. I think they're due for a letdown. Keep in mind, I mean, as impressive as it was for a team with a backup quarterback to do against the Falcons, it was still like it didn't show that they were a good team. The Falcons are at best an average team at best. possibly even below average, and they still needed a comeback to beat them. So it's not like they showed they were this amazing team. They showed that they were an average team that at best that needed a comeback against the Falcons, and now they're due for a letdown. I think that's more likely. And I do kind of agree that the Saints are not a very predictable team, but it is worth noting Derek Carr has been good lately. And like Johnny said, they're a good scoring team on the road. The Derek Carr in his previous 5 games has thrown 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean, and has thrown for over 300 yards in 3 of those games. So it's not like Derek Carr has been good lately. And I don't think the Saints are that good of a team. But I mean, how can you look at this Vikings team from what we saw last week, forget all the emotions attached to it, and be like, no, this team is actually really good? They're totally due for a letdown.
We'll find out if that happens there.
Now, if Kirk Cousins was playing, I would say 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, they're going to win. But it's different. I mean, there's no Kirk Cousins. They're still on their backup quarterback. Let's not forget that.
Josh Dobbs is a streaky guy, though, too. So he may go off for a couple, but then he'll also, suffer a couple, too.
But wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
You're making that argument partially because of his time in Arizona, where Arizona just was a terrible team and couldn't do anything. Put him on a different situation with better players. I think he could still perform better than he did in Arizona.
I think his whole career has been streaky, Nick. I don't think it's just Arizona.
Yeah.
And he actually was all right in Arizona. I mean, but again, he was streaky there. He's been streaky his whole career, though.
No, but I'm saying it definitely helps to have step up in talent.
I think he's definitely in a more favorable spot there, but he's also missing Cam Akers as running back for the rest of the season. Justin Jefferson, he said he's not going to come back until he's 100%, which he said he's not there yet. I mean, I still think Minnesota's in a favorable spot here, but I just think I think Nick D nailed it 100%. I think this is kind of let down for Minnesota off of last week. And normally in years past, the Saints are a different team away from the Superdome, but not this year. They're actually a better scoring team away from home. So I think they'll put up some points here, and that'll be enough to win this game. And I'm only asking to win by 4 points here in Minnesota.
Johnny, I hate to do this, but I'm actually switching my pick and picking the Saints to cover the field goal. Yeah. By the way, when I've switched, I don't lose. Well, hopefully it doesn't start this week.
Final answer?
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
I'm really glad I persuaded somebody. Now I really need to win this.
So it's a split decision. 3 on top for Minnesota, the 3 on the bottom for the New Orleans Saints.
Thank you, Regis Philbin.
Rest in peace, Reg. We miss you every day.
By the way, Nick,
Davis, I'm sorry, Hank. What are you saying, real quick?
Nick, we need that soundbite. Dun 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 dun.
All right. If you want to get zapped by YouTube, you do that.
Off the air, we'll do that. Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn special on CBS, guys. It's the Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers at Aquashore Stadium. The Steelers, a field goal favorite. I'll go first and try and make this quick. I don't trust the Packers. I don't trust the Steelers, but what I do trust is Mike Tomlin. I'll say it here. Here we go. I'm taking the Steelers minus the 3 at Aquashore, Nick.
I totally agree. I don't trust the Packers at all. The Steelers are a decent team. The Packers are without question below average, and the Steelers are at home. I would have to go with the Steelers. This feels easy to me.
Dan?
Mike Tomlin at home is always Mr. Consistent. Give me the Steelers to cover the field goal and win the game.
Nick?
I mean, which Jordan Love are you going to get? It's a wild card every single week. Take Mike Tomlin at home as your best bet.
Paul?
Yeah, not even a close one. Give me the Steelers at home. I don't trust the Packers one bit.
And Hank, what about you?
Do I card flip? Nah, I'm going with the Steelers.
There we go. We'll have a clean sweep here. And I just stumbled across this one too. The Steelers are going to be wearing their throwback uniforms. NFL teams that have worn their throwback uniforms have won 5 straight games. Take that for what it's worth there.
I'm also going to go one step further and take the Steelers at home as my lock of the week too.
There it is. So a bench lock for Zan with the Steelers over the Packers at Aquashore Stadium. Well, Zan, it's an Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross special on CBS. It is Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans taking on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Bucks, this line is flipped all week, guys. It's actually the Bucks laying a point in this one. So still, though, pretty much a coin flip in this one, Sam. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this line is flipped all week, as you just alluded to. It's a battle with two quarterbacks where you don't know what you're going to get. I'm going to go conservative and say that Baker Mayfield is another big game, and he actually gets it done this time. So give me the Bucks to cover the 1 point and win at home in Raymond James Stadium in a game that Tampa Bay can absolutely not afford to lose.
What about you, Nick Morgasen?
This is a crapshoot. That's the nicest way I can really say it. Like Baker Mayfield, I like the way I'm going to admit I like the way Will Levis has played the first couple of weeks. His deep throws to the who was it, to Deshaun to Hopkins? Excuse me, DeAndre Hopkins was spectacular. Those 255-yard plus throws were insane. I did not expect that out of Will Levis to begin. By the way, I think the Titans are screaming hello value in the beginning of the second round. If this is what they're going to hopefully get, I'm not going to say it's perfect. Let me be clear about that first. Mm-hmm. But it's such a crapshoot game. I got burned by the Titans last week, so I'm just going to take the Bucks to cover.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans on this one. I like a lot what I've seen from Will Levis so far in the couple of games that he's played. The offense is kind of buzzed around him. He's got a good connection with throughout the entire offense, and I think that the Bucks are going to drop one. So I'm going to go with the Titans.
Hank?
You know what it's time for? Let's go with. Let's see. I went with. Why don't I go with Darren Dalton today? All right, card's going to be flipped. Let's go with the Titans.
Yeah, Will Levis has been great, especially last week on that short week going to Pittsburgh. He actually played quite well. I'm going to make this pick not based on quarterbacks, though. Tampa Bay's 13 sacks allowed are the second fewest in the NFL. Their 7 giveaways are the fewest in the NFC against a Titans defense that has created the fewest turnovers and have the 4th lowest passer rate in the NFL, which has also been exacerbated here on the road. I'm gonna take the Bucks, but I'm not really comfortable making this pick. But I will take the Bucks at Raymond James. Nick D.
Well, I feel like this game is another crapshoot, as has been said. I don't know how much I trust. I don't know what to expect from the Titans coming off a bye, but something tells me that the Titans are going to be able to. I mean, this game is a pick 'em, so essentially. So I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with the Titans. I don't really trust either team, but sometimes the Titans, they really pull it off when you least expect it. And I don't know. I see them pulling something out last minute. So that's why I think the Titans.
Yeah, that's all fair. Not a crazy thought here in this one. All right, then we go to the late.
We get all that out of the way.
Yeah, although I'll tell you right now, Baker Mayfield is playing himself to being possible comeback player of the year this year. He's exceeded a lot of people's expectations down there in Tampa, and he had a moment there. He threw that Hail Mary against the Bills, which should have been caught, and they should have won that game. And I mean, that was a thriller last week against the Texans. So I mean, they've been in every game. I know they've been on the short end of like 4 straight, but I feel like they are due to come out on top here. And then we go to the late window, a Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Amanda Renner special on CBS as the Atlanta Falcons, Taylor Heineke and the Atlanta Falcons take on what looks like is going to be Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals are getting 2 points. Kyler Murray's return to the field, guys, will spark the Cardinals, and they'll lose this game they'll lose by winning. So I'm going to take the Cardinals +2. They'll win this game. But the real winners, as a result, will be the Bears and the Giants, Nick D.
I was thinking the same thing with Kyler Murray being back. I would have to go with the Cardinals. I don't know. The Cardinals, they were sort of a funky kind of team. I mean, they're an otherwise horrible team, but then they ended up killing the Cowboys. a lot of times it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But as much as we want to criticize Kyler Murray, it's been a huge upgrade to have him now. And the Falcons, I really just don't trust them. I think they're probably a below average team. I mean, I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals getting the points.
What about you, Zan?
Both of these teams are just horrible, but when you have Kyler Murray, who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback back at home, yeah, you don't miss the opportunity to pick Arizona. Give me Arizona to cover and win the game and pick up their second win of the year, even though longevity-wise, it's not going to matter moving forward for the Cardinals' future. But when it comes to draft positioning, it's really good for some other teams that might be peeking in on it. So give me the Cardinals +2 and to upset an Atlanta team that was absolutely deflated a week ago, thinking they had the game won at home. Well, they didn't. So let's take the Cardinals.
Yeah, you were saying that, Zan. You were really talking about your Bears when you said that, right?
Yeah.
I knew you were going out with that. Hey, look, your Bears, my Giants, we're both rooting for that. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
But
absolutely.
It's all good. Nick Morgasen, what do you have in this one?
I'm gonna have to put a counter up on this episode because I keep saying this word a million times. Crapshoot again. This is a horrible game. You could go either way with this game. I don't like the way the Falcons have been playing. Their whole running back situation with Bijan Robinson is a mess right now. I think they said, I was reading a stat that he hasn't had a touch in the red zone near the 5-yard line this year. I was reading, which made no sense. I don't know what's going on. Desmond Ridder got benched for Taylor Heineke. This is all a massive disaster leading to a Cardinals upset. Cardinals +2.
-4. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, the Falcons are a disaster so far, and they're starting to crumble apart completely now with Heineke taking over and Desmond Ridder completely going out. So I don't trust this. I think that Kyler's going to spark the team a little bit. I don't know if he necessarily is going to be the guy of the future. I mean, they're paying him a lot of money. Question is going to be what draft pick they get and what kind of scenarios they put themselves into if they can possibly go in a different quarterback route. But I think the Cardinals are going to end up winning this one.
And Hank, what about you?
You know what? I think I am also going to be drinking the Kyler Aid. So give me the Cardinals.
Wow.
That, at least for us, is a clean sweep upset special with the Cardinals over the Falcons there in Arizona. And, you know, if they find out that Kyler can be the answer, then if they end up with a low draft pick or a high draft pick, then maybe like somebody like Marvin Harrison probably is in play for the Cardinals. Of course, that's the guy I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the guy that I want, but we'll spend plenty of time of that coming up in the off season. All right, enough about crapshoots. Paul, let's go to you on this one. It's a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson special on CBS. It is Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert and the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, and the Lions a field goal favorite.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I think it could go either way. I mean, it's in Los Angeles. The Chargers have looked a little bit better. I mean, they still haven't had a great season, but as of late. But I'm gonna have to go with the Lions on this one. I think that the Lions, especially their defense, is just way too tough. The Chargers' offense has just been pretty stagnant. It's been up and down throughout the season. I like the Lions' defense. I think the Lions have been rolling too. They're one of my sneaky picks to make it deep into the playoffs in the NFC. And I mean, I think we've all said that at some point this year too, that the Lions are that good and that dominant. So I'm going to take Lions at -3. I think that they end up winning this by a decent number. I think it's going to be a close game though throughout. And I think Herbert's going to end up having a somewhat solid game.
Hank, what do you have?
You know what? This is going to be a little bold, but I am going to take this one as my lock of the week. Maybe I now officially drank the Lions Kool-Aid. I don't know if I'd go that far, but
Shocker. I didn't expect you to do that.
Yeah, no, Nick, I told you there would be a lot of plot twists coming with me today, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't trust the Chargers, and I understand they won blowouts against the Jets and the Bears, but again, let's not forget, you know, the head coach is, it's Brandon Staley. You know, it's going to be a close game. Who do you trust? Dan Campbell, Brandon Staley. Dan Campbell, Brandon Staley. Give me the Lions.
Oh boy, Hank, that's what I'm talking about.
And
The
my
last
lock of
time-
the week.
The last time the Lions hit the road, guys, it wasn't pretty as Baltimore destroyed Detroit, but the Chargers are not the Ravens, and SoFi Stadium is not M&T Bank Stadium. In fact, I'm expecting to see a fair amount of Honolulu Blue in the stands there in Los Angeles on Sunday, as well as a healthy Lions team. The offensive line, which really serves as the heartbeat for Dan Campbell's bunch, is whole again for the first time since the first week of the season. And the Chargers defense has been routinely overwhelmed by offenses with a pulse. I am taking the Lions minus the 3 there at SoFi Stadium. And again, I think Hank partially said it, and I'll say it too. If you have any question, you go with the team with the better coach and the better quarterback. You give me Dan Campbell and Jared Goff over the Chargers there at SoFi.
You can't take Jared Goff over Justin Herbert.
With their teams the way they are, I would. The way that Jared Goff's played since he's been in Detroit, I think you have to take him over Justin Herbert.
No, come on.
Oh, come on.
That's absurd.
I don't know about that. The teams.
Have you seen? Have you seen Jared Goff's numbers since he's been a Lion?
Well,
Wait a minute. Whoa, time out.
Better quarterback, not better numbers or a better team around them. You said
I would say, but sometimes that's partially a factor, though, is the team around them as well.
But are we talking about this season, or are we talking about overall?
I mean, I'm talking about, let's say, since Jared Goff's been a Lion. How's that? Not if you're talking about career-wise, no, Justin Herbert is the better quarterback. But I think, given the scenario that he's been in Detroit, I think Jared Goff is in a better system because he's got a better head coach.
He's in a better system, but he's not a better player.
Well, he's also got a better head coach there too, which also helps as well.
Yeah, of course. That's my point. It's a split between quarterback, head coach in this matchup.
Well, then, and how about this? All right, let me take halfway. Let me back off that a little bit. Give me the team with the better coach.
Okay,
Dan Campbell.
just say that.
All right, that make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that makes.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
I'm still taking the Lions minus the 3 at SoFi Stadium. What about you, Nick D?
I'm taking the Chargers. First of all, they're a home team, and I don't think I think the Chargers are the best 500 team in the league right now. I see this being a shoot. I mean, think about it. They are. I mean, the Chargers are not all that bad. I mean, the thing is, they make a lot of stupid mistakes in big spots, but you can't say they're a bad team. They still are a very good team, and they have a really good offense. And I don't know. I don't know how much I can trust a road team giving points. The Lions are a pretty decent team. I'm not like the Lions are a very good team, but I think the Chargers could still easily beat them. And I think if the Chargers can score a lot of points, I think the Chargers should be able to pull it out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, what about you?
I mean, this is a good game between two quarterbacks that I genuinely enjoy watching very much. My eyes will be glued to this game on Sunday for sure as a neutral observer, but Detroit is simply the better team. This line should be a lot more than a field goal. This should probably be about 7 to 10 points. Give me Detroit. They have more to play for than the Chargers, and I just think it's one of those games where the Chargers are going to be up in the third quarter, and Staley, as he normally does, is going to find a way to lose it. Or give me Detroit.
I don't think that's true. I think you could just as easily argue the Chargers have more to play for. I mean, the Lions are almost certainly going to win the NFC North. The Chargers, they're looking for a wild card spot. I mean, they're a potential wild card team. They have a lot to play for. This game can make or break their season.
I somewhat disagree with you because if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, I'm hoping and praying that they keep winning and somehow the Eagles slip up so Detroit can get the number 1 seeds. I would have to completely disagree with you there.
I think they're going to win the division anyway, though.
Wild card and not making the playoffs is a much bigger deal to teams than 1 seed and 2 seed.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
I mean, the one thing I would say though is getting into the playoffs is the most important for the NFL. Once you get in the playoffs, you can win games, and sometimes you win games you're not supposed to win. So being a 1 seed is more pressure at times because you have to win games, and then you look like a massive upset if you don't win. So you could look at it from both points of view. The way I see this game is I agree with part of what Nick D is saying that the Chargers have a good team. They have good offensive weapons. Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback in the right system. Austin Eckler is a top 5 running back when healthy. And let me clarify that again. When healthy, he's a top 5 running back. When he's not out with all his injuries, he's running for 100+ yards a game. He's that good. The Lions, they're a good team. Jared Goff has been playing great. And if you really want to talk semantics, when he left from the Rams and went to the Lions, the change of scenery was necessary. So from that point of view, definitely was the better quarterback after the trade. But this is kind of a back and forth matchup. The Lions have been playing a little bit down to competition as of late, especially in that game against the Ravens, which they got absolutely destroyed in. And I'm actually going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the Chargers +3 because I just think they're a better offense. Like the Lions defense has been a little bit asleep the last couple of weeks, and I think it's going to cost them again. So Chargers +3.
I also think, though, that game against the Ravens, though, was more about how good the Ravens actually are, though, than the Lions.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not disputing that the Ravens offense wasn't good, but it was an embarrassment because everyone was saying the Lions are a top 5 team, and they come out and they get their doors blown off.
I don't know who I didn't listen. I didn't hear anybody say that the Lions were a top 5 team. I mean, maybe top 10.
They
I
like
think
the Ravens top 5 team.
What's that?
You could make the argument they're a top 5 team right now.
The Lions?
Yeah.
I can
see
it. They're up there. I would say they're up there.
Think about it. Right now, you have in the NFC, you have the Niners and the Eagles that are clearly better.
Right.
Maybe the Cowboys. But let's say, for the sake of argument, the Niners and the Eagles. Then in the AFC,
Ravens.
Maybe AFC, the Ravens, the Dolphins. Probably not. But I don't know. I mean, they're still pretty close. I mean.
I know. By the way, I wish they were playing this week because we could spend a whole segment just about how much of a fraud the Dolphins are. That they've now 3 times this year been away from Hard Rock Stadium against premier defenses and have failed all 3 times. I mean, that's a big problem for the Dolphins if they're going to be making a deep run here into January. But we'll have plenty of time to spend on that as well. All right, let's go to this great game, by the way. A Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Rinaldi special on the NFL on Fox. Let's make this one quick. There's not much really to talk about. Hank, it's the Giants and Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium, and a 17-point home favorite. So I think the big question mark the only question mark we have here is, are the Cowboys going to cover this number? That's the question with this game. Hank, what do we have?
I mean, what are you talking about? I have a lot of optimism. I mean, Tommy DeVito, he is going to be the next quarterback. He's going to be the second coming of Eli Manning and possibly even Wyatt Tittle or Phil Simms. Just you watch. He's going to surprise a lot of people. A blind squirrel finds its nut. Giants are going to upset the Dallas Cowboys, baby. It's happening. Yeah, right.
I could tell.
I knew I couldn't take it seriously. You were too optimistic about it.
Yeah, really.
But the question mark is,
it was too obvious. It looked like a
are you taking the Cowboys -17 or the Giants +17? That's the question.
No chance. I am taking I think the Giants cover that one. No chance.
You're taking Dallas -17.
You're damn right I am. I mean, Again, the Giants have not won in Dallas since probably 2016, I want to say, and even then, it's their only win in that city since 2011. So yeah, no, it's Jerry World's become a house of horrors ever since 2011.
Damn it, Jerry's not even here this week.
Yeah, he'd be rubbing it in our faces here. Think about this: if a healthy Giants team could lose 40-0 at MetLife Stadium, what is this team going to do here in Dallas after the Cowboys, who can make the argument should have won that game against the Eagles last week? I mean, this has 41 or dare I say 51-9 written on it. I'm gonna take the Cowboys -17. There's not much else that needs to be said, Nick D.
Right. I'm taking the Cowboys -17. I mean, the Giants, they barely even trust Tommy DeVito to throw the ball. I mean, it's gonna and look how bad they got beat with Daniel Jones at home. Now imagine that and just add all of these other factors. How bad this is going to be for the Giants.
Yeah, that's right. Nick, Zan, what do you have?
Well, I just want to see full disclosure. I'm a U of I alum and a pretty big Tommy DeVito fan, but college football is different than the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys were simply the better team. Is the number too high? In every other week except for this one it is, but this week it's not. So give me the Cowboys minus 17. Only this time there's not 5 sacks in the game. DeVito only gets sacked 3 times. I'm gonna be a little generous there.
I think you're being too nice.
That's a positive.
Yeah, you are.
Go ahead, Nick. What do you, I mean, I know what you have, but just what do you got?
This is going to be a massive blowout. It's not even a question. I'm going to definitely take minus 17. I could see DeVito getting sacked like 8 or 9 times in this game.
No.
I do. He's not trusted. Zan, he's not trusted to throw the football. And if he's gonna, first of all, he's gonna get Saquon Barkley hurt. The amount of times they're gonna hand that ball off to Barkley. How many times did they hand off to him? 43 times or whatever, 38 to 40 times last game. You're gonna get him hurt.
And you might as well do what the Bears did to Walter Payton and make him a quarterback.
Essentially, like they should just run the Wildcat all game or direct snap.
Boy, that's what we're talking. That's it.
Or just run a direct snap to Saquon because that's pretty much what they're going to do anyway. But yeah, minus 17. I think the Cowboys are going to put up like 45, 50 points.
You as somebody who's not comfortable taking huge spreads, don't have an issue with this one though, right?
For a change, this one I don't have a problem with because the Giants are so poor that it's rough and it's rebuild mode. It's blow it up time for the Giants.
Well, how can you possibly blow this team up though? That's the real question. I mean, you said that in the chat last week, and I'm like, well, how can they possibly blow it up though?
Blow it up meaning they need to go a different direction.
We'll find out. Depends on where they're going to be drafting this year. Paul?
Yeah, Cowboys at minus 17. I mean, the extremely easy one to take.
There we go. So clean sweep there at AT&T Stadium. Nick D, it's a Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox. It is the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell taking on Geno Smith and your Seattle Seahawks, because I know how much you love them. And the Seahawks at Lumen Stadium are laying 6.5.
Well, the one saving grace for the Seahawks is that it's a home game. But I don't know. The Commanders, they're just good unexpectedly against superior teams. And I think they're going to be able to keep it close. I think they could even win outright. I have to go with the Commanders. I don't trust the Seahawks to cover this, even though 6.5 is not unrealistic. But I don't know. I mean, the Commanders, they always seem to like at least keep it close against teams that you don't expect them to. And that's always been what they've done. So I don't know. I have a sneaky suspicion the Commanders are going to keep this close.
What about you, Zan?
Commanders going cross country into the West Coast just smells like absolute bad news. Point number 1. Point number 2, this should be the game that America should be getting because this game will be a lot closer than the Dallas New York Giants game. I'm just going to throw it out there. And number 3, Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Sam Howell will ever be. So give me Seattle to easily cover the 6.5 and win this game at home in a game that they probably need, honestly, is an NFC swing game, considering that they want to keep a firm hold on the NFC West lead. So give me Seattle.
Yeah, this game is Seattle has been playing down to the competition too. Like, there's quite a few games where, like the Cincy game, they should have won that game in Seattle. Like that was a clear cut game that they could have won. There's quite a few games this year where, I don't know, Geno gets them in trouble, takes sacks, takes forced pressures, and basically knocks them out of field goal range or gives them an opportunity to win. That's going to make it a close game. Now, do I think the Commanders have a chance? The tough part is you have the most sacked quarterback in the NFL on the other side in Sam Howell. They don't have their defensive weapon anymore in Chase Young, who was traded to the Niners. So you're in a back and forth battle. I'm going to take Seattle, but I'm going to take the Commanders plus 6.5 because I think it's going to be a barn burner down to the end. But Seattle's definitely going to win.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm taking Washington at plus 6.5, but I'm saying that Seattle is still going to win it. I think that these two teams are very interesting. I was very high on Seattle last week in a potential upset, but they ended up getting completely destroyed. But Seattle's got a pretty good squad. They have a pretty good team all in all. I think, and the Commanders, I think I've liked what I've seen from Sam Howell. I think he's done a decent job. And even though they made a few trades at the deadline to basically go in that route of rebuild, I think that they're going to still stick around, stick with it a little bit. So I like the Commanders at +6.5 for it to be a close game. I think it might be a pretty high scoring game too. Honestly, I think that this might be a sneaky high scoring game that could surprise people. So I'm going to take Commanders at +6.5.
What about you, Hank?
I am going to go with the Seahawks winning this for the simple reason that it's at the home of the 12s. I mean, look, wouldn't surprise me if the Commanders found a way to make this a close one, but do you guys honestly think I'm trusting the Commies, a.k.a. the Foreskins?
No.
Yeah, didn't think so.
So he's got the money. Yeah, I'm with the majority. This is too many points again, guys. I'm taking the Commanders +6.5. I think Nick D nailed it again. And Sam Howell's played actually quite well the last 2 weeks. He's thrown for 5 touchdowns and 325 yards in each contest. Seattle's given up the 12th worst amount of passing yards per game on defense. And even before that, I mean, not even take out the 2 West Coast, East Coast games losses that they had, which is against the Bengals and how they got destroyed against the Ravens. They barely struggled. They struggled at home and barely beat PJ Walker and Josh Dobbs backups there with the Browns and the Cardinals respectively. So I think Seattle wins this one, but I think this is too many points to lay. So that's why I'm going to grab them with the Commanders here at Lumen Stadium. And what I think will be, the guys who said the Commanders and the points, I think said it right. I think this is going to be kind of a little bit of a higher scoring close game. So I will take the Commanders plus the points there at Lumen Stadium. Nick, it's Nick Morgasen. It's Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on Sunday Night Football on NBC as the New York Jets go to Allegiant Stadium to take on Antonio Pierce, Aiden O'Connell, and the Las Vegas Raiders. And your Jets a 1-point road favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed in the Jets from last week. The way they totally came out and played. The Chargers are a better team. That was not the question. Everyone had the Jets across ESPN, across all the platforms. Everyone had the Jets with an obvious victory. I had no faith in this team whatsoever at all to win against the Chargers. You're telling me that Zach was going to compete against Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and all those guys? There was no chance. Zach Wilson had 2 fumbles last week. Bunch of drop passes last week. This is a confidence breaker. It's going to kill them. They're going to lose this game, and then they're going to lose the rest of the way to the Bills and to the Dolphins. I'm taking the Raiders in an upset special. Not even a question.
Nick D, you're the other Jet fan here. I'll go to you next. What do you have?
Well, I mean, okay, so I have sort of mixed feelings on this. Look, the Jets are a road team. I can't really trust the Jets against anybody. In the past couple of weeks, they've been really, really bad. However, I'm going to have to go with the Jets. I think that something tells me that they're going to somehow pull this off when they shouldn't. You have to remember, the Raiders, they still have Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback, and the Jets at this point need to tank. And something tells me that the Jets are going to end up winning, and this is going to be a game that we're going to look back at and be like, I really wish the Jets didn't win that game. Which,
why is
as
that?
weird as it is, I don't think the Jets are any good. I think it would better serve them to lose as many games as possible. But it's not like the Raiders, even on the road, this is not an unwinnable game. And I don't know. You have to remember, the Jets, even when they're bad, they win games that they shouldn't win, and looking back on it, end up screwing them. Like, I think they would end up being the worst 5-4 team in the league. I could see happening. And then they'd end up getting killed by everybody else.
Oh, God. So you actually have them winning? Or oh, my God. Okay.
It's -1.
Take the money. What about you, Paul?
I actually agree with Nick D below me, not to the right of me. I'm going with the Jets to win this one. I think that the Jets defense against the Raiders offense that is so beat up and just hasn't been able to get going, that's going to be the story of the game, I think, in my mind, because the Jets still have one of the best defenses in football. Their offense, I mean, this entire game, the reason why you go back and forth on this is because you don't trust either offense. You have no idea what you're going to get from either of them. But I think that it's going to be low scoring. I think the Jets will put up enough numbers, maybe by rushing, maybe by a couple of dump passes from Zach Wilson to get on the board. But I think their defense is going to help guide them to end up winning this game. And also, as we always say, that what the Raiders are, Hank, take that away.
Poverty.
Raiders are poverty. So I can't go with them. I'm going to go with the Jets.
Ugh. By the way, just one note to add: over/under is 37.
That was the same number last week too, right? And that number went under last week.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be like a 30-6 blowout like it was last week. Hank, what do you have here?
Oof. Okay, now let's see. Got the battle of the mid right here, I should say. This is going to be a tough one. Huh? No, Nick, I was trying to be nice. But anyways, you got, as much as I want to go with a beloved former Giant in Antonio Pierce, who was actually one of my favorite players on that Super Bowl 42 team. Nah, can't trust the Raiders. Give me the Jets.
What is going on here?
You make it seem so bad that we're picking the Jets, though.
Because they're not going to win.
So we talk a lot about the interim coaching boost, which the Raiders got last week. I mean, congrats to Antonio Pierce. I mean, that was one heck of a clinic they put on last week. But something else that we talk about a lot happened here, the letdown. And it perhaps, I mean, let's put it this way. The Jets are a similar team in that their offensive line is atrocious. Zach Wilson, I mean, the way he played last week was no better than Tommy DeVito. And I think Max Crosby is going to provide havoc for the Jets on offense, which may lead to turnovers and short fields and points. But I think ultimately in this game, this comes down to who gets more out of their running game, Breece Hall or Josh Jacobs. And then I also think that this game, I'm not going to be dramatic in saying this. This game is the Jets' season. Because
I agree.
It's such a swing game because if they don't win this, what do they go to 4-5 and they play the Bills
and the Dolphins
in Buffalo, who are going to look for revenge, and the Dolphins, who I know that'll be a road game against a good defense, but still has to be taken seriously. I don't know though if the Raiders are going to be able to duplicate what they did last week. I mean,
I think they're due for a letdown.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, Nick. This is like the letdown spot. They had their high moment last week, and usually the interim coach boost happens 1 week, and then the letdown happens the second week. But I mean, Antonio, go ahead.
And also, the Jets just had a horrible loss. Something tells me they're due for a bounce back.
And if you watch the game, that was not on the Jets' defense last week.
It was a lot of it.
That's true.
Teams.
No, that's true.
Right?
The one stat that stands out in the game, which people don't realize, the Jets defense gave up 190 yards and lost.
And Herbert threw for what, 136?
It wasn't good. It was all field goals, basically, what the Chargers were putting up.
That's why I got to take the Jets here because I can't see Nick. Come on, I'm just saying. I think because the Raiders can't do this again. You want to pick against your team? That's fine. I'm not going to do it though. I'm taking the Jets here by a field goal. At the end of the day, it is still the Raiders.
And to be fair, it is safe to say that this might be. I think the Jets are going to win, but I think it might be the last win of the season. They might not win a game again. And I'm dead serious. They might not win again.
But their defense, though, is going to keep them in all these games. That's why you got to give them a chance here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe I could see them just like I said. I don't even think they'll be favored in any more games unless it's at the very end of the season and a team pulls starters, something like that. Other than that, I don't see them even being favored.
All right, I will look that up here, and let me go to Zan.
This game is just awful all the way around. Let me just put it to you straight. The the Jets don't deserve to be on national TV this week, but they are. I'm just gonna say my big and bias is gonna come out a little bit. I can't stand Purdue. I can stand Aiden O'Connell, but you can't tell me that Antonio Pierce's interim head coaching job is one of the best 4-day turnarounds you've ever seen. I'm on the Raiders train. I think that people forget they're only a game under 500. Give me the Raiders to upset the Jets on Sunday Night Football in a 10-win. It's gonna be an absolute embarrassment on national TV if you're a Jet fan this week. So give me the Raiders.
Wow. All right. Well, it's kind of a split call there at Allegiant Stadium. I'm just looking at the rest of their schedule here. They're home against the Falcons in December in Week 13. They'll probably be a slight favorite there. They're home against the Commanders on Christmas Eve. I would imagine they might be a slight favorite there.
They could win those two games.
What's that?
They could win those 2 games in a row.
The only thing I'll say, though, and I think kind of Nick D does have a point in this regard, the schedule to set the rest of the season is kind of challenging. I mean, at Buffalo, home against Miami, home against Atlanta, which I think is kind of favorable, home against Houston, which, it's a home game maybe, at Miami, which I don't think they'll do well there, home against Washington, and at Cleveland and at New England. I hate to say this. This is not the last game the Jets are. If they win this game, this is not the last one they're winning this year.
I don't disagree with you, by the way. The next couple games, they definitely are probably going to be a slight favorite, but it's a matter of
the problem they're going to run into, though, is if you have any aspirations about them making the playoffs this year, I don't see in that kind of stretch them getting enough wins to get into a wild card spot. They're in kind of a hole in that regard, but we'll see. I mean, this league, like you say, you got to play every game. You never know. And we've seen plenty of upsets here in 2023. Well, before we get to Monday Night Football, I think we've got one thing we've got to play. Yes, folks, this team is off the bye week, and, they've won 2 in a row coming off their bye week. So we thought maybe we should give them some sort of reward.
Maybe. Wait a minute. Let's see. Oh, wait. Here it is.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride.
By the way, that is Russell Wilson saying FUETB, by the way.
Well, I mean, I think we all picked against them last week, in the week before their bye week, and I think a few of us had bench locks on that one too. Well, let's find out what they do here on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Paul, it's a Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salter special as those Denver Broncos head to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are laying 7.5 at Orchard Park.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos, they're coming off of the big win against the Chiefs, so a lot of people are going to be somewhat high on them, and I'm not buying into it. I still think that the Bills, this could be a get-right game for them. I'm not a fan of the Broncos. They were bound to beat us eventually. It was a bad game. I don't think they proved anything on the offensive or the defensive side. That they're actually a team that can truly contend. So I actually like the Bills at -7.5 in this one in Buffalo on Monday nights. So I'm gonna roll with that.
Hank, what do we have?
Congratulations, Broncos! You finally broke the Chiefs' curse. That's your Super Bowl. Now go back in the corner and get made fun of. Give me the Bills.
In Week 3, the Broncos lost to the Dolphins by 50. In Week 4, the Bills beat the Dolphins by 28. But a lot's changed since September, guys, and particularly with these two defenses. Sean McDermott's unit's been decimated by injuries. Vance Joseph's group hasn't allowed 20 points in any of their last 3 games, with 2 of those coming against the Chiefs. I think taking advantage of the extra time to prepare during the bye, Sean Payton draws another stellar effort out of this squad. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to fall short in this primetime matchup. So I'm taking the Bills to win, but this is too many points again. I'm taking Denver plus the 7.5 to keep it inside that number, even if it's a touchdown. Nick, you and I spoke about this before it started. The Bills have not. When's the last time the Bills covered a number?
Oh, it's been a very
long time.
It's been like at least 5 or 6 games at least.
I will go back and check that, but think about that for 1 second. Nick D, what do you got?
I like the Bills. I think the Denver's in for a letdown, and the Bills really want to prove something. I mean, the thing is, the Bills, I think, are an inconsistent team, and they're like too inconsistent, I think, to win a Super Bowl. They might not even win the division, but they can still blow teams out when they really want to. And I think that Denver really is in for I think it's also a home game for the Bills. And as bad as the Bills have been, you still can't forget the talent. Excuse me, the talent gap between these two teams. The Bills are still much better, and I don't trust the Bills in general, but I think they're due for like a comeback game. I just don't see them continuing this trend without any sort of flash in the pan, at least. I don't think they're going to continue down that path. And it's not like the Broncos are a good team. They played a good game. And I think they're due for a letdown.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Dan, what do you got?
I like the Bills here. This is just one of those spots where I just think that just Denver is too inconsistent, and yeah, I know they won 2 games in a row, and I know the Bills look sluggish against Cincinnati a week ago, but this is just one of those games that the Bills need to win, and the Bills need to show that they are still the Bills that everybody thinks they can be, and this is one of those games that they just need to win because they need to keep pace in the AFC East. They still have Miami on their tails and whatnot. But this is one of those games where they can't afford to slip up and look past this one. So give me the Bills simply because they're just a better team.
All right, Nick, wrap us up here for week 10. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound weird when I say it. I see this as a reverse trap game for the Broncos, where they put all their energy, they won the game against the Chiefs, and now I think the letdown happens. I think all the energy came out, and I just think that that's going to be their bulletin board material victory for the year. Even though the Bills have been not playing spectacular football, they're getting wins, but they haven't covered like within the last 5 or 6 games at all, which is kind of shocking. Even though they've had all those injuries and whatnot, it's basically a long spiel for take the Bills and cover.
All right, there we go. So that'll put a bow on week number 10 in the NFL, at least for our ETB picks. Now, as Nick said, we are presented by Wolf Spreads. So what we get $2,000 fantasy dollars. We've got to make at least 3 plays for $1,500. Of course, I used all 2,000. I have 8 plays here for week number 10 here, presented by Wolf Spreads. So here we go for week number 10. My Wolf Spread plays. I am taking the Colts laying the 1.5 there in Germany against the Patriots. I got the Steelers -3 there against the Packers. I am taking the over in the Browns the Browns Ravens game. It's at 38. I think the Ravens will put up a lot of points themselves. I know both teams' defenses are good, but the Ravens offense has been very good. That's why I'm going to take Baltimore minus the 6.5 here in Wolf Spreads as well. I'm taking the Cardinals getting a 1.5 against the Falcons. I'm going to take the over in the Giant Cowboy game. I think the Cowboys will do a lot by themselves here. It's at 39. I think the Cowboys will do the far majority of that down in Dallas. And I do have 2 plays on Monday Night Football. I've got the under, which is 46.5. I think it'll be kind of a lower scoring game because of the defenses. But I'm also going to take the Broncos getting the 7.5. All of those are worth $250. 8 plays there for me for Week 10 in the National Football League. Let's go to Nick D.
All right, so I have the Bears, the Bears Panthers under 38, $11 or whatever you call it.
Fantasy.
What?
The fantasy money? Yep.
Yeah. 11 of the fantasy money. Saints, the Saints -3, the Cowboys -17, and I actually took the Raiders -1.
Okay. So in that one, the Raiders are the favorite. So you can see the Wolf Spread plays are a little bit different than the book that we use here for our picks. Zan?
Yeah, so similarly to Nick D, I took the Bears in the under 38 for $500 fantasy dollars. I took the Colts money line that's at minus 130 for $500 fantasy dollars. So those are my two big plays. And then just because I wanted a little sprinkle, and I know I took a different pick on ETB, but we're just going to go with this one for wolf spread purposes. I took the Falcons minus 1.5. That's $500 fantasy dollars. And my last pick is the Bills money line over for Denver. That's also $500 fantasy dollars to round out the slate. So,
all right, and Nick.
Yeah, so obviously when I do these, I try to keep them similar. I took my lock, obviously, with the Niners minus 3 for 250. I like the Ravens. I said that before, minus 6.5 for 250. I like Seattle minus 6.5 for 250. I took the the over on the Giants Cowboys, over 39 for 250. I took the Raiders minus 1 for 250, and I took the Bills for under 46.5 for 250.
There we go. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, so I just only took 3, but I took the Lions money line at minus 160. Pretty confident in them to be able to beat the Chargers. And then I got a couple of overs. I got in the Jacksonville 49ers game, I got over 45. I think that's going to be a pretty high scoring game. And then the other sneaky high scoring game that I thought of too, Washington, Seattle, I took the over of 44.5 on that one as well. So those were my 3.
solid pick.
I
Solid,
like those.
solid
Yeah.
picks.
All right, Hank, what do you got?
All right. So for my wolf spread picks, I took the Colts to win the game in Germany. So I will be wishing the Patriots Albano Zain.
Auf Wiedersehen, yes.
I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's my upset.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know you guys are probably looking at me like I got 3 heads, but you won't be laughing when I'm the only one. When I'm the lone wolf that strikes again.
I like it though.
And last but not least, DDTB, Bengals.
There we go, and that'll put a bow on week number 10 of the NFL already. What a ride! You know, both college and pro coming down the stretch of the season. A lot to be discussed here. Of course, we'll be back next week to discuss it all. Of course, yours truly will be back with his Monty moment as well. But of course, several ways for you folks to interact with us and follow us on here on the network. Make sure to check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ETB network as we head towards 600 subscribers. If you like our Football Fridays, our Monty Moments, all of our content, please leave us a like. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, hit that notification bell so you know when all of our stuff's going to be coming out. You can also check us out at etbpodcast.com, our website, for great blog posts from Hank and all of our talent. Also, you can check out information about all of our shows here on the network. And if you cannot watch us, make sure to listen to us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We are there for you. So, Nick, Paul, Hank, Zan, and Nick, you guys all have a great football weekend.
Looking forward to it.
You too.
It's going to be great.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep, absolutely. So for all the guys, and of course for Tom and Ben Kruse as well, I'm Johnny Montalbano. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll catch you all again for the Monty Moments. I'll catch you along with Nick on ETB next week as well. And we'll all catch you again for Football Friday, Week 11, next week.